There we go. That should work. Okay. If you're watching, I have no idea that you're watching. So I need I need to set this shit up first. Oh god, how do I get to my thing? There. Stream now, beta. I'm so beta. Oh, I'm on. All right. Multitasking is hard. Hey, everybody. Oh, hello. Sorry, I guess I'm a little bit behind here, and I'm trying to do all like a million things at once. Waiting for people to roll in, so bear with me here. I think what I'm gonna do, I gotta promote my video. You're gonna see the live promotion taking place. You're gonna see exactly how this shit rolls. Alright, first I gotta move shit around here. I don't have a lot of desk space. Okay. Alright, so how I usually promote my videos. I can't show you this screen because it's my personal screen. I've got the incognito screen up. I think that's what you can see right now. But I take the video link, see, and I copy it, and then I go to Reddit and I post it in PC Master Race and hope people don't downvote me. That's pretty much the extent of my self-promotion. And I come up with a neat, nifty title. So let's come up with the title together. How about that? Title will be. Oh, thanks. More people have showed up. Okay. Live intro. Are we gonna get a live intro? Okay. Yeah! Welcome to the show! I don't know. Whatever. That's the best I can do. See, I get time to edit when I make videos, so I'm a lot fucking wittier. And I stammer less. I stammer. One day I'll post like a blooper reel for you guys, and you can see exactly how the shit goes down. It's not pretty. Sometimes it's like 6 or 7 takes, and I'm just like, "Hi, everybody, welcome to Tech Tick-a-Doo-Doo." Fuck! Or like my dogs are fighting in the background, and they ruin the shot. And my accent comes through. I get ultra Canadian from time to time. It's not good. All right, let's submit this shit to Reddit. What do you think is the title the PC Master Race would like for that video I just made? So how about ever wonder what $272 can't? No, that sounds way too clickbaity. I need the community does not like that. They want like, you know, straightforward, like to the point, but eye catching. So like, how about oh boy, I'm gonna tell. Oh, you know what? I'll make it a story title. So some guy was watching potato masher video and insulted germ gaming. No, that's too long. People are gonna just be like, yeah, boring. Fuck. Hey. Hello, people. You can start typing questions in. So that's the real point of this. I'm just killing time till people start rolling in and start asking questions. I have some queued up questions from like Reddit and other places where people have asked me things that I will give detailed explanations of and to. But for now, I actually have to like promote my video on Reddit. That's what I'm trying to do for those of you who are just joining us. So that's a lot of them. That's a lot of emoticons, by the way. They're not emojis. They're emoticons. Just for the record. If anyone, Ofa is not my real name. Although, if pronounced Oafa, it is an Arabic name and it's a woman's name. So, needless to say, when I was on OkCupid and I was single, I was getting a lot of messages from Arabic guys who were just like, "Hey, baby, I come to country. I fuck you." I was like, well, I mean, I guess it's not. I mean, I'm up for anything, I guess. I suppose. But I need a title for this video. I'm submitting this to PC Master Race, and I want people to watch it. My videos always do well when I submit them there, and they go over well. Can you guys help? Like, what do you think would catch on? So you just watched my latest video that I just finished recording an hour ago. So what do you think? What should I call it? What's an eye-grabbing title? About so someone in this subreddit claimed you couldn't match a. Oh, this is a good line of thought here. Match a $200 used Xbox One with match the performance. $200 used Xbox One with a PC. Here's me proving him wrong. All right, what do you think? There's the title. The title of my Reddit submission would be, so someone in this subreddit claimed... No, if I say in this subreddit, it sounds like I'm insulting the subreddit. That's not good. We don't want that, right? Oh, there's 4 extra minutes of black screen? Oh, there is too. Shit. I just realized that now. Why'd that happen? Is that the end, at least? Oh, I know why. Fuck. And everything I just said will be completely irrelevant. Anyhow, at Ofa on Twitter, subscribe to this channel. I will be... Oh, I'm gonna have to delete that and re-upload it. Yeah, I'll just do that. Fuck it. Okay. Alright. Damage control. If I only knew how to... Can you edit videos? Like, can I clip some end off of that? Let's try that. Before we fucking totally ruin everything. Sorry guys, technical difficulties, as always. I never get everything right on the first try. Channel. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, what's up? Hello? Hello? I can't hear him. Oh well, we'll call back if it was important. Okay. Hold on. Edit. I can edit the video in YouTube. That's fine. But can I can't edit the time, can I? Like enhancements. Hey everybody, welcome to Tickle. Auto fix for lighting and color. Fuck that. Trim. I can trim. Hey everybody, welcome. Alright, I can fix this. Right in YouTube. Oh, YouTube, for once, you're not an asshole. And everything I just said will be completely irrelevant. Anyhow, at Ofa on Twitter, subscribe to this channel. I will be streaming more often, at least once a week. I promise you that, and I'll see you next one. Beautiful. Okay, pause it there. How do I click? Oh my god. You know, for a PC technician, I'm really bad at this. So then I go from there. Do I highlight? No. Oh, right clicking doesn't do shit. Split. Aha. Confirm changes. Does that work?
Hey everybody, welcome to Tickle. Today's episode is brought to you by Common Sense. If your power supply doesn't have the native connectors to power that graphics card you just bought, hey everybody, welcome to Tick.
Oh boy. I might have to just re-upload this later. Oh fuck. Undo all trims. Yeah, I just delete it? Oh, there. Delete. Done.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tick.
Sweet. Alright. I think I did it. Okay, sorry guys. Who the fuck's texting me? Hold on. Oh, the person who just called me only called me to mess me up and see if I was really live. What an ass. I hate that guy. Okay, anyway. On to the topic. Do any of you actually have any questions? Or am I just going to have to take some from my pre-rendered list? About anything hardware. You got me for like an hour at least. So ask away. Don't be shy. For example, okay, you know what? While you guys are thinking, I'll start off with the question I was asked earlier. So I'm going to go find it. By the way, the incognito window you have up right now is so you don't see my personal shit, but I promise you I will be displaying things on it very soon. So just bear with me for a minute. Well, I mean, you can use it for demonstration to show you guys some things, some talking points and whatnot. Oh. All right, if one of you guys tried to steal my karma on Reddit, by the way, that's fine, because I'm really bad at self-promotion, so please feel free. Okay, Andrew Matheson is a person I know, and he's here to just ruin everything. So it's collectively just DDoS him if you could, disconnect him. That'd be great. No, he's fine. He can hang around. All right, so the question I got today, to get actually on topic, that I felt like would be wise for me to answer in this stream, there was a very interesting one. Someone said, I just ran across your video on YouTube featuring a spreadsheet that demonstrates how you determine CPU bottlenecking and graphics cards. You guys remember that one, I'm sure. In that video, the top graphics card at the time was a 980 Ti. However, today we have more recent releases. My question is, will the GTX 1080 I just ordered be bottlenecked by an i5 4670 at 4.3 gigahertz? Blah, blah, blah. So, let's start with that question because it's pressing. I'm going to make a full video about it at some point. But just to give you guys my thoughts on the subject, it's like this. Bottlenecking is not linear. It's one thing that sort of gets easily mistaken. So every game, every API, everything that goes into bringing you the game to your screen is a factor that needs to be considered when deciding or determining whether or not something is going to be a bottleneck. So in some games, yes, and others no. That's always the answer. It's never not the answer. I'm just trying to think of some games where absolutely CPU performance just ends up being a problem no matter what your graphics card. You know, if you think maybe like Civ 5 late game is a good example of that, like when the game logic is just struggling to work at all, it'll impact frame rendering. Maybe that's a bad example. I can't think of any offhand, but bottom line is more CPU intensive games aren't necessarily bound to the graphical output. The two are related often, but not always. So, in terms of what is holding a game's performance back, it's not always necessarily related to your graphics card. But as graphics technology continues to progress and CPU technology continues to stagnate, you can expect the percentage of games that you play that pose a problem for you are going to increase. That is just absolutely true. That said, to address this guy's question in particular, the 4670, which is Haswell, doesn't matter. 4670, 4690, same thing, different TIM, slightly different temperatures. The overclocks should be close. Is going to be as fine can be, because the single core performance of a Haswell processor at 4.3 gigahertz is about the same as a Skylake processor at 4.2. So they're like a hair apart and not much difference at all. So bottom line is, it's as good as you're going to get. Andrea here, Andrea, you're a dude, right? And you're Hispanic, I'm assuming. Sorry, or Andres. Anyway, so he says he has an i5 4440S and a GTX 1070. By the way, I have not had as many S processors as I would like. I have a question for you. Do you have multi-core turbo enabled on your board, and does it work? If you don't know what that is, let me know. So with an i5 4440S and a GTX 1070 in his example, he says he notices some bottlenecking in GTA and The Witcher. That makes sense. Both open world games, a lot of draw calls, you're going to have some problems. Adding a CPU to that mix would make things better. But it doesn't necessarily mean that upgrading the graphics card wouldn't also yield some improvements, because it's never it's never at any given moment during gameplay. It can be one or the other. So if you're in a scene where there's a lot of draw distance, there's a lot of stuff happening in terms of the scenery, obviously the CPU is going to be more stressed. But if you're in an isolated environment in a game, sort of like an instance in an MMO where the scenario, the scene is encapsulated, CPU stress is obviously going to be less. But suddenly you open it up to multiplayer and there's like 80 people on the screen. Again, the CPU is going to be stressed further. So it's never absolute. It is dependent entirely on what's happening at the time. And in any given game, either one can pose a problem as a bottleneck from moment to moment, like I said. So more graphically intense scenes where there's lots of polygons, obviously going to be more GPU intensive. And CPU side, obviously you're going to have some problems if the game logic is being stressed, or again, like I said, excessive draw calls, big draw distance, open world. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about in detail. And by the way, I don't mean turbo enabled, Andres. I mean multi-core turbo. So if I recall correctly, the i5 4440S has it's a 2.8 to 3.2. So what I'm saying is, can you run that processor at 3.2 gigahertz across all 4 cores at once? Because if you leave turbo enabled as is, it will put one core up to 3.2, if it's the only core under load, and then it will drop them all down to like 3 or 2 point, maybe 2.8, depending on the load, the multi-core load. But if you enable MCT, or MCE as it's sometimes called, multi-core enhancement, multi-core turbo, then it will actually stay at 3.2 gigahertz across all 4 cores. With almost any H series board from that chipset, you can configure that. It doesn't work on some boards though. Like MSI is really bad at making multi-core enhancement work, but Asus is really good. So that's just getting into try. You go into your BIOS, and the option where it says to set your multiplier, you can either choose set it to a fixed core ratio or sync all cores, and it depends on which board you have. But like on my H97i Plus down there, which is an Asus board, if I set it to sync all cores and set the first core to 3.9 gigahertz, which is what the i5 4590 3.7 gigahertz, the i5-4590 in that, all 4 cores will run at 3.7. So that's what MCT is. And I want to know if S processors will do that. Anyway, yeah, check it out, because you might get an improvement in performance just by doing that. And you can also consider, although I wouldn't recommend doing it too heavily, a base clock overclock. That'll get you a little bit more performance out of the CPU. So, you know. Anyway, let's move on. We got a couple of others rolling in here. Any progress on the SHIC box? Anything popping up? No more upgrades for the time being. I am keeping my eye out for CPUs at this point, because it's going to be hard to replace the free Phenom 2 925 I got. That's pretty cheap, and you can't beat that price performance for 4 actual cores. And you know, albeit older architecture, still 3 gigahertz on a still relevant, I guess, somewhat. You know what I'm talking about. This is why I edit my videos. Phenom 2s have the same single-threaded performance as modern AMD CPUs that do just fine in low-end gaming, or even in the mid-range. So there's still some usefulness there. But I would like to get a 965 Black Edition and get a bit of an overclock on it, because I don't really care about the heat. I can have the core run a little hot, and as long as it gives me performance, and I can just burn it out until it dies. But no progress. Actually, that's not true. I did cheat a bit. I will admit that. So what I did recently, I was sick of it sitting next to my my TV setup here, like just sticking out into the hall area in my basement. So I took it out of that big fat case I originally put it in, and I shrunk it down to a micro ATX case that I picked up at some point for some amount of money, I can't remember, and shoved it under my TV. I didn't mention that in the video series because, like I said, cases don't matter. Like, I could put it in a $0 case again, and I can show you my closet. I can't take this webcam and go actually show you things, but yeah, I got a lot of cases, a lot. And just, I did pay for this one to some nominal amount. I don't remember what it is. I itemized them in my accounting spreadsheet as best I can, but with cases, if I don't know the model number, I just say fuck it and put the company that makes it in there and then throw it in the list. So there's, needless to say, a lot. And but yeah, that's one thing that has happened. It's a silver. I know that the case I put it in, though, I did some research, is a Silverstone Sugo 2 micro ATX. So it's a HTPC looking thing, but everything fit in there just fine. And yeah, pretty good, if I may say so myself. How did my video turn out, by the way? I didn't even enable monetization. Look at that. I'm giving you guys content for free. Not that I make much money. If that's a question you want to ask, I'll answer it, by the way. You want to know how much money I've made off YouTube so far? $36. There you go. You heard it here first. Actually, I think it's more than that. But anyway, let's move on to another question here. Okay, going back. Andrew Matheson asked, once your hardware becomes software, how long until you can get hardware again? Well, I'm not witty enough. I can't even. Okay, I'll move on to serious questions now. Okay, next. How good is my PC specs? How good is my PC specs? Intel Core i5-2400, 8 gigs of RAM, and a GTX 1070. Well, obviously your CPU is a little old. Put it into perspective, Sandy Bridge single core performance compared to something like Skylake is going to be about 15 to 20% slower depending on the workload, clock for clock. So, and that's a lower clocked i5. So we're talking 3.1, 3.4 turbo. So it's comparable to a Skylake i5-6400, I guess. Like, they're kind of close. But I'd still take the Skylake i5, even at the lower clocks, I think, for sure. But it's not terrible. The GTX 1070 is the second fastest consumer graphics card on the market. I don't count the Titan XP because that's sort of targeted at workstation and content creation and whatnot. But it's okay. Not bad. Let's actually do something with this window here. by the way. Let's, I should just play an ad and be a dick for the 9 of you. No, we won't do that. Maybe I should bring up that. No, never mind. I don't know what to do. Like, should I just put my face up on the whole screen and fuck this thing? I don't know. We'll see if questions come up that are relevant. But anyway, back to your PC specs. I think you have a relatively good system, and I wouldn't worry too much about updating, to be honest. Your CPU is aging. There probably will come a time soon where you want to replace it, but if your intention is to buy a locked i5 of the current generation, again, you're only gaining like a 20% improvement in performance. It's really not going to be that big of a deal. If you're looking at a CPU upgrade, just odd to PvP, I would say your definitely CPU motherboard is the way to go, but look to get an overclockable CPU that will last you for several years into the future. Like an i5 K chip is it's got good 5 years of life on it if trends continue. Unless Intel decides to throw everybody a loop and just fucking increase core count on their mainstream CPUs, which they could do. So hard to say. Oh, let's see here. Where do I buy my shirts from? Says Danny from Nerd on a Budget. Hi, Danny. How you doing? Is my sound okay, by the way, guys? Just let me know. Where do I buy my shirts from? This is from H&M. This fits me well. Some of the ones you see me wearing in my video are just like gym shirts. I literally just get back from the gym and I sit down and I'm just like, hi, welcome to Tickle. And that's why they're all like bacon necky. They look like they just came straight out of a fucking, I don't even know. Like I just literally just chopped them off a pig. So that's where I get my shirts from. And they're all plain and logoless because I don't advertise. I'm very consumer friendly. I'm very pro-consumer. I mean, you can kind of get this from the tone of my videos, but like what I'm trying to achieve in life in general, PC stuff aside, is I want people to be smarter consumers. And in terms of the clothing I wear, why would you pay a company to sell their product? Like, I'm paying you money for your shirt. I give you the $7 and you give me your shitty t-shirt. Why do I have to walk around with your fucking logo on my chest? Why don't you pay me for that? I'm famous. I have 2,000 YouTube subscribers. You fucking pay me. And maybe I'll wear your shit. But anyway, yeah, the H&M. But you buy yours from Amazon? Okay. I'm going to check out Amazon shit. I have Prime. So, yeah, we'll see. See how it goes. All right, next. Let's see here. Oh, my stream title is still Steam Roulette Live. Ooh. Let's change that. Live Q&A with a giant Q&A hole. There. All right. So let's see. Next question. Is there any good Ivy Bridge ITX board for locked CPU? Good question. Ivy Bridge, or more appropriately the Z77 and H77 chipset, was really the mainstream birth of mini ITX systems. So it's not that they didn't exist beforehand. I personally have owned a Zotac motherboard. Yeah, believe it or not, they do make motherboards, and they've been making motherboards for a long time. And I owned a Zotac ITX socket 775 motherboard with DDR3 support, DDR3 DIMMs. So it was intended for 9000 series Q processors. So it just gives you an idea of how old ITX boards really are. They did exist, but they did not rise to prominence, to mainstream prominence, until the 7 series chipset from Intel. So if you're looking at getting an ITX motherboard for that socket, and the likelihood of finding a 6 series chipset is very low. I do not think there were any P67 or Z68 mini ITX boards. I might be wrong about that, though. I certainly have never possessed any. But I have owned a few Z77 boards that were mini ITX, and I think one H77 board. Anyway, finding them is going to be incredibly hard. ITX components on the secondhand market are more expensive because they're more expensive for the same reason that people try to sell their newer but shitty graphics cards for more money than older but better performing ones. If that makes any sense. So like you take, for example, your GTX 670, which is objectively better than a GTX 960, I think. No, sorry, I got that backwards. No, let's say 950. 950, perfect example. 950, strictly worse than a 670, no question about it. But people will ask for more on Kijiji for their 950s than they will their 670s because the 950 is perceived as newer. So, and the reason that happens is people look at the Newegg price of the item new and they just think, I take some fucking money off and then we'll just fucking throw it up there. And they don't bother to look at performance comparables. So that's why you can get good deals on items that perform better but are older. So on the same token, what was I talking about? ITX motherboards. So ITX motherboards are difficult to engineer. It's a lot of stuff into a small space, and that's why they cost a premium at retail. And that same premium that they cost at retail ends up translating to the secondary market for the same reason. So when somebody goes to sell their ITX board of any generation, they look at it and they go, okay, I wonder what this fucking thing is selling for on Newegg. And then they look at Newegg and it's like, holy shit, it's $50 more than Micro ATX and $80 more than the shittiest ATX board. So like, well, this must be worth a lot. So they put in their price and off to the races. And believe it or not, people are willing to buy it because the items are so rare, especially with that generation. So if your intent is to go out and buy one, I would not get your hopes up. It will take some time. I have only possessed perhaps 3 or 4 Ivy Bridge generation ITX boards in my life, and it's been a long one. So yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Do you think it's worth getting an HD 6000 or a GTX 600 series card or older? Well, those are different things. They're close in age, but not quite. The HD 6000 series was sort of a competitive comparison to Fermi, Fermi 2.0. The 5000 and 6000 series sort of kind of overlapped and slotted with the 400 and 500 series on the NVIDIA side. Yes, I think they're both of the cards you mentioned are both of the generations you mentioned are still worth it. So this is a good opportunity for me to use this window here. So the first thing I'm going to show you guys is a quick little tool that Tom's Hardware put together. If you weren't aware of it, I suggest you check it out. I admit, I've been in this for a long time, but even I forget where graphics cards sort of rank in terms of their performance. So even I will reference this chart because it's still useful for just a quick reference. So they maintain this chart. It's just a GPU hierarchy. And if you ignore all of the fucking, dual GPU cards here, you'll get more text and messages from people. And, is that Danny retweeting me or something like that? Is that what I just saw? I don't know. Anyway. No, it wasn't. I was just hoping. So if you take out all the dual GPUs that are in here, and some of them they removed the Titan Z. Like you won't see that in here. But they left the 295 X2 and 7090. I don't know why they decided to remove some and leave it in others. But anyway, ignore the dual GPUs because they're totally not relevant and they're a whole different animal. But you look at the singles, this will give you a good idea of what compares to what. So if you need a quick reference and you're buying something used, just look this up. So if you're talking about what 6000 series cards are still relevant, 6850 I say is the cutoff because Iris Pro graphics will actually beat it. This is not exactly accurate. So this is sort of where I would say the cutoff currently exists along this line here. So on the NVIDIA side, definitely this is the best you're going to find for the cheapest, and down here on the AMD side. But you don't need to settle for this. These cards are maybe worth $30 Canadian at the most. And at that point, it's probably not even worth it. You'd be better off spending $40 and getting something way higher up on the list. Like I've gotten a 570, or I've gotten a 660 actually. 660, the cheapest 660 I ever bought was $45 Canadian. And the 660 is a really good card. Which brings me, I'll save, I have a point in mind. I'm going to save it for later, for another discussion topic. But anyway, 600 series cards obviously still very relevant. The 660 Ti compares favorably to the 950 and the RX 460, so you can still get some good life out of that. Really, the RX 460 is toe to toe with the 660 Ti? That's amazing. It's pretty good. Good on you, AMD. That's a success right there. I'd say the RX 460 and the upcoming GTX 1050 going to be very impressive. But yeah, still worthwhile. But just make sure you pay for things appropriately. Oh, there, Danny just like my tweet now. That's good. Let's see. What's next on the list? Okay. How good would it be if I got another 8 gigabytes of RAM and it's i7? Okay, the same guy from before. He wanted to know. Okay, so it doesn't quite work that way because the 8 gigabytes of RAM that you would need to buy for Skylake should be DDR4. I would not get a board that supports DDR3L because why? Like, DDR4 RAM is cheap, it's faster out of the box, it consumes less power. Just take the plunge. I would sell the 8 gigabytes of RAM, the i5 2400 you've got, and the motherboard as a package, or part them out and sell them separately, and use that money to contribute it towards the upgrade you've suggested. Although an i7 6700K, one of which I happen to have sitting right here, it's really overkill for gaming, I think. And then some people will argue against that. Some people will say, no, it's not for games that have multi-threaded utilization, and it's great because of the lack of bottlenecking. Okay, you know what? Yes. If you take frame rates of 99% of games on the market, 99.9%, all but maybe 3 or 4 games, an i5 6600K clocked at the same speed as an i7 6700K will yield the same results on any graphics card. That is universally true. However, in the exceptions, it does exist in some of these games. You're talking, a 3 to 5 FPS advantage, maybe sometimes even a little bit more. But the main reason the i7 is favorable over the i5 in gaming isn't because of average frame rates. It's because of higher minimums and lower frame time variance. So what multi-threads will do, having spare threads will do, is smooth out gameplay. So what I'm trying to emphasize, it's difficult to explain. It's actually a hard phenomenon to encapsulate in words, but when your game is running, nothing is ever even or unilateral. The word bottleneck is thrown around a lot, but in actual fact, every nanosecond that passes by in your gaming experience, there are various processes that are all sort of fighting to stack on top of one another, I guess, if that's, and there's always backlog. There's always pressure being put on one element or another on a much smaller scale than you commonly understand. So it's not just CPU, GPU, it's everything. All the micro componentry, so, and the API and the game logic, everything is working in sequence to try and come up with that comfortable, steady balance. And when certain things are fighting for CPU resources in lieu of your game, that will create problems. So you're going to be looking at stutters, basically, is what it results in. From time to time, when the action gets hot and one of these elements in producing your game runs into a wall, you'll get a stutter. So what the i7 can theoretically, not always, but theoretically do is smooth that out. It will the frame time variance, so the difference in frame times will ideally, theoretically, be smaller on an i7 than an i5. But for the average person who's playing games, you will notice. It's the kind of like the difference between IPS panels and TN panels and monitors, or kind of like the difference between 144 hertz and 60 hertz. If you see the better one, you'll want it. But if you're just living a normal life, and you're just playing games and you haven't encountered the better, you won't know that the worse is worse. Same way a console peasant is like, Xboxes are fine, I like them, they're great. Well, okay, But have you experienced a PC yet? You experience the PC, suddenly your world changes. But really, for the money you're paying for an i7, I mean, here in Canada, I haven't even looked at prices lately, but I think these motherfuckers retail for $430, I think, $440. And the i5s are like $300. That's $130 in your pocket for a minor change, what amounts to a very minor change. Look up the data. You can go back to Haswell. There's a lot of data that exists with regards to Haswell processors and gaming performance, and it really hasn't changed since then. You'll see exactly what you get with an i7. Again, there are exceptions. GTA 5 has been known to benefit in that regard a fair bit. I'm trying to remember the best example that I can recall. Was it Ashes? I don't know. I think AnonTech has a great article on that where they actually do identify a few games where there are benefits, and they will increase over time. Another thing I want to point out as well, as multi-threaded optimization becomes a thing, and it will because it has to, you will notice that there is pressure from developers on hardware manufacturers to increase core count because it needs to. If you're not going to give us more single core performance, more single threaded performance, and APIs have reached the limit of what they can do in terms of resource distribution across the spectrum and downloading some of those tasks to lesser cores, then you're going to run into problems. So as games get better, that's going to become more of an issue. That said, increasing resolution, so the broader the image becomes on the screen, so going from 1080p to 1440p, 2160p, and so on, lowers your frame rates artificially. It makes the image more difficult to generate, and things like draw calls, CPU bottlenecking becomes less of an issue, and that in itself will help offset the difference. So all these things together are going to hopefully be working towards keeping the whole system balanced, but it's by no means the kind of thing that even the smartest of people in the world can predict. All that you can do is put yourself in a position to prepare for the worst. But anyway, that was a very complicated answer, very simple question. I would say when he says, should I get an i7 6700K and 8 gigs of RAM? I don't think I would go that far. I think an i5 would do you just fine. But if you have the money, by all means, buy the better hardware. Next up, let's see here. Oh, I went, fuck. Questions are rolling in, guys. Oh my god, okay. Do you guys like my voices, by the way? Am I a good voice actor? I've been told that I've got a voice for radio. So let me know what you think. Let's see here. Where do you get these super cheap cases? Okay, so I'm also super stingy with my. I'm glad you asked. Okay, if you guys wouldn't mind holding on for like, maybe I can just bring the camera over there, but I don't think the cord's gonna reach. So I've got I'll just stay here. I've got a utility closet in there that's got all the heating equipment and the air conditioning and ducting and whatever else, and that's where I keep all my spare cases, and it's full to the brim of cases because they're cheap. The most I ever pay, I do pay for cases sometimes, and if I want them to be new and presentable, I will buy them, especially for like really expensive high-end builds I put together. Like when I put together that Build Log 7, which was the GTX 780 and i7 2600K, that's a nice system. Like we're talking about, it had a Sabertooth motherboard in it with all the shielding on it. I had Noxua D15 inside of it, cooling the thing. Obviously, premium components used, but premium components. This is a serious looking system. So what I wanted to do was put it in a nice case. And now in those cases, I will go out and buy something that's maybe in the $40, $50 range because it helps sell it. I'm reselling these. I fund this channel by putting other PCs, selling them at a bit of a markup, and then putting that money into a special box. And when that box gets full enough to buy something to make the channel better, like the capture card I just purchased right here, or my new graphics card because I'm going to be doing more streaming or whatnot, that's where the money comes from. I do have a day job as well, and I dip into that as well. I spend personal money on the channel, but that's how things are going to continue growing. And then eventually the hope is that the channel gets big enough that I can really start giving stuff away and donating to the charities that I support. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. Cases are cheap. I will pay $15 if I have to from a place called Orion Computers in Mississauga. I'm happy to say their names. They're a shit store. They have nothing but crap. But they do have a lot of imported cases from countries and companies you never heard of. Very cheap knockoff alternatives to things like Fractal Design and whoever else you happen to like. And they're pretty good too. The build quality is not as good, but they have like sound dampening foam, and it all seems pretty good. So, and it's cheap. Like we're talking like there's one case there that's clearly a clone of a Fractal Define case, and it's like $40 new. So I will occasionally purchase those, but I will always go there and buy the $15 Chief Deck Dragons that you've seen in a couple of my videos so far. I think maybe like one or two. $15. It's got a side window, full ATX tower, lots of air volume in there. You can't go wrong for $15. You will find, if you live in a city, it's got over 1 million people in it and has some shit computer stores. And you guys know what kind of computer stores I'm talking about, right? We're not talking about your Fry's or Micro Center if you live in the States. We're not talking about Canada Computers or the Newegg Hybrid Center in fucking Richmond Hill. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Bob's, or not Bob's, like Rajesh's computer store. You know what I mean? Like, you know? Talking about like central Scarborough industrial area, if you know Toronto at all. Just like shit little store where they sell off-lease systems and value RAM, and they have nothing new. Those stores will have cheap ass cases for, like I said, $10-15 if you're lucky. Sometimes new in box. The ones I get, the Chief Deck Dragons, are backstock. What happened at Orion Computers was they apparently they have a warehouse full of stuff, and they went into the warehouse one day and they said they're looking for something, and then they found a bunch of boxes, and they were like, the pallets weren't marked, and they said, what the fuck are these? So one of the employees just ripped the invoice off of them, the packing slip rather, and looked at it, and they said, packing slip says nothing. There's no about what's inside. It just says cases. So they opened them up, and it turns out they were Chief Deck Dragons that were from 2007. So nearly 10 years had passed, or I guess at the time it was 8 years had passed, when I found this store and they told me the story. And they're like, yeah, we have hundreds of fucking Chief Deck Dragons, brand new in box, all the accessories included. They even come with 3 Molex, albeit fans, pre-installed. And we just got to get rid of them because we have no idea where they came from. We don't know what we paid for them, and no one's going to buy them for our full price. So I stock up 5 at a time whenever I go out there now and just buy them to have. But I stopped doing that recently when I started salvaging old cases from garage sales. You can get them. You can always get a case if you have $100 in your pocket. This is what you can do. Search. Hey, let's do it right now. How about let's go through this right now. So I'm gonna go look for some computers here. Let's okay. So let's go do a bit of live shopping here. So I'll just show you guys an example of what I mean. So where's computers? Okay, you guys can see this okay, right? Yeah? Okay. So if we go to desktops and you sort by lowest. Okay, there's gonna be a bunch of free stuff down here. And this is usually all just services people are offering. Like wanted computer recycling. Oh, fuck you. You're trying to make money off of me. Okay? That's not how it works. I make money off of you. Great deals, advertising. Yeah. Free PC building. No, that's not what you want. So you want to scroll up this list, go a few pages ahead until you start seeing some really low priced items. Okay, let's check this computer set. He's got listed for $1, which means it's highly negotiable. And let's see here. Oh, someone's messaging me again. I've asked somebody to alert me if I'm ever putting something on the screen that is damning. But I'm in incognito mode, should be fine. So this might be a good example here. I don't know if he's actually selling this for $1, but it's obviously negotiable. So what you do is you message this guy and you say, hi, how much for this piece of shit down here that's sitting under your fucking desk that you're clearly moving away from because you're going off to college to study liberal arts or some shit. And he's going to tell you a price. And I guarantee you, he doesn't know what it's worth. Because if he did, he would have listed it here in the ad. But whatever you get it for, you take the parts out of that system and you sell them individually on Kijiji. Just flip them the next day. The case will be free. So whatever you end up paying for that system, as long as you're smart and you know what you're doing, the value of the internal components is 100% of the value of what you're going to have to pay for that, or better, or the math will work out for you even more favorably. So you'll make some profit on it in addition to having a free case. So that's a good way to get free cases. We can find another example of this. Like all the ones that have like fancy stock photos like this, just some shopping tips here. These are all stores like Infotech. Fuck you. And so you want guys who are just like, yeah, I got a computer. I don't know what it's worth, but I'm taking offers. None of these would work. This is all shit. I don't know. It's taking far too long. This is boring, guys. I know. I'm just trying to find like a really good example. Oh, okay. Okay. Here we go. This is a good example. Perfect example. In fact, I might message this guy right now. So he got it listed for $9. Acer case, comes with what looks like a DVD drive, a card reader, and an ATX power supply. I don't even know what wattage that is, but like that's more than $9 worth of shit. Even if the power supply just works, you can put it in a mom and pop desktop and sell that. Or you can just sell the power supply for like $5 and you got yourself a $4 case plus card reader plus DVD drive. Like everywhere. You'll find the ads like this all over the place. So anyway, that's kind of where I get cases from. And they're everywhere. Like yard sales, Goodwill has computer cases up the ass. If you have a Goodwill, or I don't support the Salvation Army because they're a religious thing that they have, but if you support the Salvation Army, or if you go to Goodwill, Salvation Army, Value Village, great place to find just old ass ATX cases that are dirt cheap. Anyway, moving on to the next question. I hope that answered you enough there. So what are we doing? And yes, by the way, I guess it would be better to get an Ivy Bridge i7 for my micro ATX. Yeah, if it's a Z series chipset and you can overclock it, I would recommend that. Let's see. Next question looks like, when did your hair decide to go home? When did my hair decide to go home? You mean like bald? Like when did it recess into my body and start growing up my ass? Oh God. I've been balding for a long time. I usually shave this, but I've had such a busy week that I haven't been able to fucking do anything with it. So, since watching your videos, I purchased a 660 Ti and a Phenom 1. No, it's got to be a Phenom 2 955 with a motherboard, all for $10. Oh, $110. $110. Let's see, 660 Ti Phenom. Is it a 955 Black Edition? If you can overclock that thing, you're pretty set. That's a good deal, $110, and I'm assuming that's US prices. So, good on you. You are paying attention. Congratulations. Let's see. Okay. Is $250 Canadian a good price for a $980 he put? He asked it again. Is $250 Canadian a good price for a GTX 980? Yes. Yes, it is. It performs as well as a GTX 1060 with a little bit less VRAM, so ultra texture packs on certain games will probably not run as well and might set you back a little bit. But yes, $250 Canadian for a GTX 980 is a good price. I'm assuming that's a friend deal. Most people here in Canada are going to want to fetch $350 plus for it. I see most of the asking prices on Kijiji, which we should look up now. Let's see, GTX 980. This is a Toronto search too. So let's see what people are actually looking for here. So it looks like the cheapest one, oops, in the wrong category. It'd probably help if I switched. Buy on sale. Computer accessories. System components. Okay, so looks like selling a perfect condition reference 980 for $380. Looks like my assessment was about right. Most people are listing them for $400. By the way, asking prices, of course, are not. They're not final prices. They have nothing to do with reality. This is just what people see. Often, when people go to list an item, they'll search Kijiji if they have half a brain, and then just place their card somewhere in there. They'll try to be competitive at the bottom end with these shitty ones with the fucking blower reference coolers, or they'll have something nicer like a Zotac or. Looks like ACX 2.0 here, $450. These prices are all bullshit. This is what I call the X80 premium. Whenever an X80 card retires and is no longer relevant, people are very reluctant to let go. They're just like, oh, but I paid so much for it when it first came out. Like, I just paid fucking $1,000 for my GTX 1080. I shouldn't have. I really shouldn't have. I don't game that much, but I couldn't resist. Even I have vices. And there will come a time when my 1080 is worth less than $400, and I just have to bite that bullet. Luckily, I have a side sort of thing here that sort of funds all my technology, so it's okay. But yeah, $250, great price. Let's move on. Let's see. I'm looking to upgrade my 780. I was thinking of a 1070, but I'm seeing a lot of bottleneck with my processor. Should I just buy a 1060 then? Okay. So back to the point I made before. An Ivy Bridge i5 is like so very close to a Skylake i5, clock for clock, that if you're experiencing bottlenecking now, getting a new processor isn't going to alleviate that. Oh, you're saying, wait, hold on. You're saying you're already seeing a lot of bottlenecking with a 3570K and a 780? No, that's not true. And if you're seeing bottlenecking, it has nothing to do with the hardware. Now, again, there are some games that are just CPU intensive, period. Like Arma 3 is the best example I can think of. Like, it does not matter what graphics card you have. It doesn't give a fuck. It's not about pushing frames in terms of the graphical fidelity. It's the game. It's just a poorly optimized piece of shit. And it's not just a piece of shit as well. Arma 3 is a very CPU intensive game for game logic reasons. So your CPU is always going to be maxed out on at least 1 or 2 cores on that game. I've never played it, but I've seen load profiles, and it's not pretty. So don't judge your upgrade potential based on a couple of samples, is what I'm trying to stress here. Every game is different. So putting a 1070 in a system with an overclocked 3570K is going to be fine. If you get that thing up to a steady 4.4, 4.5 gigahertz, which should be relatively easy on a modest aftermarket cooler, no problems. You should be home free. I would recommend getting a graphics card first over a CPU combo in that instance, because the 780 is clearly not getting the most out of your 3570K on average. Again, incidentally, game over game, you might notice some problems, but that's more the game than it is the hardware. What you're looking for is to find that comfortable balance between the two. And a 3570K, look, think of it this way: there are people out there that are running 4690Ks still at 4.4 gigahertz, 4.5 gigahertz, and they're buying 1070s. Because why wouldn't you, right? Haswell's last generation. It's not even 2 generations ago. Broadwell didn't happen. Fuck Broadwell. It didn't exist, because on desktops, they're not relevant. So we went from Haswell to Skylake, and people that are on Haswell, like myself, I have a 4790K in here. I have a 6700K sitting right here in this fucking thing. Paid $320 Canadian for it. Pretty good deal. I'm not using it. I'm not going to use it, because I would rather flip it and make a bit of money and upgrade whenever, because the performance difference is so slim. So ask yourself, is Ivy Bridge really going to be that much worse? It's like, in gaming, 4 to 5% worse than a 4690K. Fuck it. Your problem is not your CPU. Get the 1070, you'll be fine. Let's see. Have you looked into used bookshelf speakers with desktop PC use with cheap amp like a Lepel 20? Boom. Okay. Justin, I have to confess something right now. I don't know shit about sound. Like, I don't know shit about sound. Shit. You have seen this in my videos, I'm sure, if you've been watching them. I have a fucking pair of genius speakers from goddamn Canada Computers. I couldn't tell you if they were shit or not, because I can't tell the difference. Maybe, okay, so right back here, you might see a scar if you look real close, and this webcam's good enough quality. I had ear surgery a few years back. I had a condition called superior canal dehiscence. I had it surgically corrected twice. Not 100% successful. I still have some symptoms, but anyway, my hearing is not bad. It's never been bad. I've had my hearing test and it's been in the normal range, but it's always not good because I hear noises internally in my ear because of the disorder. So fuck if I know. And I was a musician. I am technically a musician by trade. That's what I went to university for 15, 16 years ago. And even then, even with being in the studio, recording, singing, playing instruments, I certainly know how to pick out a good tune. I'm certainly not tone deaf, but in terms of sound quality, it's hard for me to tell the difference. Once you get up to that like 95, for example, I mean, I can't tell the difference just by ear between a 192 kbps MP3 and a 320. That's a big difference in bitrate. Couldn't tell you. So when it comes to speakers, I must apologize to you, but I cannot help you. I don't know anything about them. Nerd on a Budget says $15 for a brand new case. Always? Yes, always. If you come to Toronto, Danny, I will take you to the store and we will make a purchase together. And yeah, we'll make it happen. Let's see here. What else we got here? Oh, it says no power supply in that ad. Oh, well, whatever. Why did he say ATX power supply then? What the fuck is with this? Anyway. So I found you through Nerd on a Budget. Thank you, Danny, once again for the. And I found Nerd on a Budget channel through Tech Yes City. Interesting. So let's see here. Well, maybe he'll give me a shout out. We'll see. So Tech Yes. Okay, the reason why I paused there is because Tech Yes City. I mean, he seems like a nice guy. Really does. But he takes sponsorship from G2A, and I have a problem with that. I'm not judging him personally, but gray market key trading is dangerous, and I do not encourage it at all. It's just my opinion. I wouldn't take their money. If G2A came to me tomorrow and wanted to sponsor my channel, I wouldn't. You know what? I'm going to retract what I said. I'm not judging him. I'm not going to judge him, but I just have reservations about a person who would, you know, I don't have reservations about the person. I don't want to judge. I will only speak for myself. I would not take a sponsorship from D2A because I would not want you to I don't want my advice to you to be disingenuous. I don't want to sell you something that I would not use myself. I don't want to endorse a product that I don't plan on utilizing myself. And I would not use G2A. So that's why I do not, I am wary whenever I see their advertisement plastered on a video. Again, Danny, for example, if you choose to take G2A sponsorship, I don't blame you. I will still love you. You'll still be my favorite small Seattle Asian man. But I, just not for me. And I find his style to be a little bit flashy too. I mean, just critiquing on the video. I mean, you get this from my videos. I'm very raw. I just don't give a fuck about that much about making a pretty video. I don't do fucking B-roll. I don't take nice, pretty, just slidey shots of my hardware with perfect lighting. I have 2 soft boxes and a fucking R600 Canon camera. That's my setup. And a Yeti mic that I bought used. So, and softboxes that I bought off Kijiji. So I'm very low budget and very low tech in that regard. I keep it simple. And his videos, everybody's trying to be the next Linus. They all just want like this TV quality production. And, you don't always have to be. I mean, look at iDubbbz TV. I love that guy. He's funny as fuck. All he does is sit in front of a goddamn fold-out $25 table and break shit. He's funny. He makes good videos. I like him. He's got a good camera, though. I'll tell him. I'll give him that. Anyway. So, I have a Phenom 2 955 Black Edition with a stock cooler, and it is loud as a fucking tornado. Yes, it is. Shitbox has one too. Let's see here. The human ear can't hear past 4400 hertz. No, it can't. There you go. No G2A for Danny, he says. Good job. Oh, Techia said he sponsored that competition. That's cool. Okay, well, maybe I like the guy. It's kind of nice he's bringing up smaller channels. Good for him. But if I ever... I'll pose this challenge to anybody. Anybody wants to come to Toronto and do battle, I'll crush him. I will wreck him. Linus is Canadian. When I saw Scrapyard Wars, I was like, ah! Fuck! Just like, I'm gonna fly to Vancouver and school your ass. Sorry, I'm gonna tilt my camera a bit. I think it's falling down. So let's see here. Next question. 2 questions. What's the highest end video card I can get away with on an i5 2400 and 6 gigs of RAM? Get away with, again, going back to the concept of bottlenecking, varies from game to game. It's all about, think of it as 2 sliders that you're adjusting, right? So you've got CPU performance and GPU performance, and then your GPU's up here, your CPU's down here, right? So that means that every game down here in this chunk of the graph on this side of the equation is still going to run at 100%, no problems. Just the games up here that you're going to have a problem with. So if you're a Arma 3 guy, or if you're a GTA 5 guy, or if you're a Witcher 3 guy, then this game's up here, maybe not so good. But if you're a Shadow of Mordor guy, or a Bioshock Infinite guy, or a Tomb Raider guy, you're fine. So it's not linear, not absolute. Bottlenecking is CPU GPU bottlenecking, be specific, varies from game to game depending on the API, all those things. So I would say it just depends on what you play. You could theoretically put a 1080 in there and have a very enjoyable gaming experience depending on what you play. If you're a first-person shooter guy, not multiplayer, because multiplayer games can get a little wonky CPU side, probably good. I'm not talking about arena shooters. I'm talking about like if you play, just off the top of my head, like Metro Last Light. What's a game like that? Single player campaign style, like Doom and Wolfenstein. I don't know. Those are relatively fine on lower end CPUs, I think. I don't think they're particularly CPU intensive. I might be wrong. I haven't played any of those games, but in my head, when I'm thinking of the engine they're built on and how they work, it's probably fine. But again, if you're a late game Civ 5 guy on giant maps, you need a CPU for that, definitely. Okay, let's go to the second question. I have 3 sticks of 2 gigabytes each. Can I just put an 8 gig stick in the 4th slot? Technically, yes. Practically, I wouldn't, because you're getting into dual channel issues there. Excuse me. Potentially. So going 2, 2, 2, 8. First of all, you can't use dual channel in that configuration because both sides have to be equal. So you'd be restricted to single channel memory only, and then compatibility issues could arise based on timing. So 2 sticks, especially if they're at different ends of the generational spectrum. So the original DDR3 that came out was like 1066, and higher end DDR3 goes all the way up to like 2800 or something like that. 2400. I have 2400 in here. I don't think that's the best you can get though. You're talking about a wide variance in speed in MTS, and in relation to those speeds, you have different timings. And there are some high-end sticks, believe it or not, that cannot clock themselves down low enough to pair with older RAM. It does happen. And because the timings will be off. So, for example, I've got lots of value RAM over there. 1333 megahertz, Cas9 latency, right? So if you take a DDR3 2400 stick that has Cas latency of 12, and you try to drop it down to 1333 megahertz, it will do something like, it'll be like Cas7 or Cat8. Cas8. Sorry, just some noise that's coming from upstairs. And if you try to put the timings up to Cas9, it won't function. That happens. And it's totally, I'm not going to say it's random. It's not random, but it's inexplicable. Because it should be more flexible, but it's not. And it has to do, there's a bunch of electrical factors involved. I think it has to do with voltage changing. I don't know. I'm not But bottom line is practical experience. I've been through thousands of RAM sticks. Don't do that. What I would do instead is sell the kit of 6 gigabytes you have and get a fresh kit 2x4 or 2x8 and go with that. Be fluid. Learn to use Kijiji. Take advantage of it. Or Craigslist, depending on where you live. Let's see. Next question. Do you think 130 Canadian dollars is a good deal for an RX 280 if I don't live in a city with a lot of sellers? Yes, I do, Mr. Justin Chan. I do think that is a good deal. I don't think it's the best. I think that I have done considerably better. Going back from memory here without opening my spreadsheet. So the cheapest the cheapest R9 280X that I ever acquired, I think, was $100, unless you count 7970 gigahertz edition cards as being the same, which they are, but they aren't because they're a little older. I've gotten those for as low as 80 or 90. But that's me. So that's a guy who does shopping on a weekly basis 3-4 times a week. I'll be in my car going out to buy some stuff. So not necessarily not necessarily representative of what you can expect to do as a buyer. So $130 I think is a nice comfortable medium. Try and talk them down. See if he'll take less. Let's see. And I'd like it for FreeSync. No, Tahiti does not support FreeSync, as JForce just pointed out 2 comments down. If price is not an issue, do you prefer a case with a window or not? I prefer a case with a window, but not for the reasons that most people prefer a case with a window. I prefer a case with a window for a very neurotic reason. I want to be able to see if my all-in-one water cooler is leaking. That's like it. I am still, okay, you understand, I've been in the PC game, in the game for like a long time. Since I was a teenager, a late teenager. So not like teenager, like 19, and I just got into university. And so I am from a world where graphics cards, if you can imagine this for a minute, graphics cards, first of all, they weren't called graphics cards at the beginning. They were called 3D accelerators or something like that. I don't even remember. It's been so long. But the original, like Voodoo 2, I don't think they actually called them graphics cards. I should look that up. What was the Voodoo 2 actually called? It was called... I know it had another name, like that was marketed as. I can't find it here, referenced here. I wish, maybe I can Google image search the box. Oh, look at that, 8 megabytes VRAM. No, it's not, it doesn't call it anything. Look at that box. Look at that box. God damn. And this is not even as far back as I go. I mean, my first graphics were integrated on the board, which is something that doesn't happen anymore. There are some boards actually that still have integrated graphics, like on the board, not on the CPU. It's not system on chip shit. You can still buy some AM3 Plus motherboards that have integrated graphics, believe it or not. But anyway, they weren't called that, really. So, and I mean, this is what they look like. So, like, you know, they talk about passive heat sinks. These are not high TDP chips on this thing. That was the world I lived in. Oh, random tits. Should probably watch out for that. It wasn't actual tits. It was just like, a woman in underwear. So I lived in a time when things were a lot different PC wise. So I'm not comfortable with water in a computer, still not to this day. In fact, I do recommend air coolers for a number of reasons. Number one, pump noise. I have the fans running at 12%. I have 140 millimeter fans in this case. Noctua fans. Redux, but Noctua. All matching, all running at the same speed, doing various things. Some of them radiators, some of them exhaust, some of them intake. And I don't hear them. I don't hear the graphics cards fans. I don't hear the power supply fans. The first things I fucking hear is the goddamn pump. So number one, that's why I don't like all-in-one liquid coolers. I got it for this case. It's just more practical. Mini ITX, by the way, the larger air coolers like the D15 or the D15S, even the D15S, they will block the first PCIe slot, so they're not good for many ITX boards in a lot of cases, and at least with this board. The S is more compatible, but there are even still some ITX boards that it will not work with. Anyway, I don't like all of the coolers for the pump noise, and I'm just watering my computer. That's fucking wrong. I just had this paranoia. So I have a window facing me with lights inside of it, so I can see what's going on. That's it. I don't care about the prettiness of my PC as long as it's clean and neat and the airflow's good, and my temperatures are optimal. I'm in good shape. Otherwise, don't give a fuck. Okay, on to next question. Do you still buy Steam game bundles? Yes. I have just about 3,500 games on Steam, and the overwhelming majority of them have come from bundles. So the holy trinity. Oh, my dogs. Champ, Mango, can you not? I'm trying to entertain 17 people. Okay, so the go-to websites, the holy trinity. First of all, this is a website that you are obviously familiar with if you're on my channel, right? And this subreddit is one that you should subscribe to. And you should sort by new, and you'll see all kinds of stuff here. But anyway, the how you buy bundles is like this. I'm going to walk you through the process. So I do this at work. I have a kind of job where I can browse the internet. It's kind of great. So at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when Steam updates their daily deals. That is also, if I recall correctly, when Bundle Stars does theirs at noon. So between noon and 2 anyway are the key times. So Bundle Stars, I think, puts out their daily. Well, if they're going to issue a bundle, it's usually at noon or 1. I can't remember. Chrono.gg has their daily deal refreshing at noon Eastern Standard Time. Indie Gala, I think, does their Monday, Wednesday, and Friday bundles at 1 o'clock, I think. And Humble is at 2. So Humble, Indie Gala, Bundle Stars, and I give a shout out to Groupies as well. I like them. Those are really the big sites that I get the most of my stuff off of. I used to be an Indie Royale guy before they shut down. I have done a little bit of... Blink Bundle was great before they closed down. I did... just recently, I think I bought my first Otaku, or... There's a bunch of new sites that have come up recently, and they've been somewhat enticing. Anyway, yes, I buy bundles, and I'm going to be making videos on that exact subject in the future, because I think it's part of the PC building process. I mean, what the fuck? Consoles... we have consoles beat on hardware. No question about it. But we have them beat to shit on game prices. Like, AAA titles, PS4, Xbox are in the $60, $70 range, just like PC games. And ours do get discounted faster because they're digitally distributed, and depending on how successful they are, market saturation, all these things, the prices will come down. But on indie games, smaller titles, PC just rocks the fuck out of consoles, because as where on PlayStation Network, whatever the fuck they call it, or Xbox Live, or whatever the fuck these services use, they're always sort of at a static $4 or $10 or something like that. And it's an amount of money that you care about. But when it comes to bundles and shit like that, you can get down to like pennies a game. So yeah. Which reminds me, thank you for reminding me. I have to give away some shit. Totally forgot. I'm here to give away some stuff. So we're going to do that now. Okay, we're going to do that now, but I'm going to mark my place. So, okay, so I'm at Nerd on a Budget, who says something about spreadsheet. Okay. So how we're going to do this is very simple. I'm going to, should we do trivia? This is what it means to give away stuff? Yes, we'll do trivia. Okay. All right, I'm going to be watching the chat here. First person to respond with the correct answer will win a free Steam key. As for which key it is, I don't want to give you a game that you've already got, but I suppose that's not a problem, because if you try to redeem the key and you've already got it, it will just say product already owned, and the key will still be valid, and I can give it to the next person. So we'll go with that. Okay, oh, you're on your phone. Oh, okay. All right, maybe that's not fair then. That's a good point. Some of you are on a desktop, and some of you are on a phone. And the people on the phone are going to be at a disadvantage because PCs are better than phones. So, no, I'm kidding. But, well, whatever. You know what? I'll be liberal today, Razorback. Don't worry. Okay, so we'll throw out some trivia here. Okay, all right. Just trying to think of a question. I really should have prepared ahead of time. Okay. All right. What was the last graphics card? The last graphics card to feature GDDR3 memory. Huh? Yeah, get to Googling that. I better do that too. I don't think I remember. Okay, put it on my private window here. Okay, I'm going to see if the answer I had in my head was actually right. Okay, hold on. I'm not going to say, somebody already put up an answer. I'm not going to say whether or not that's the right one yet because I want to confirm it for myself. Hang on. Hang on, guys. I really should have thought this through ahead of time, shouldn't I? Okay, I know it's not one of those, so let's just skip that, but I'm going to search it anyway. Just to find out. Yeah, okay. That was September, blah, blah, blah. And then on that side, on the other side, we had... Okay. All right, I think I have an answer. A definite one, but I just got to make sure. Okay. It could be one of two. All right, the first person on the chat that comes up with one of the two answers, because the release dates on these are choppy. Yeah. That might have been a bad question. Finding a few exceptions here. No, I was right. I was right about my first answer. Okay. All right, I have answers. All right, let's see who got it. Oh my god, a lot of answers there. 6670 definitely wrong. I don't think any of the 6000 series had GDDR3. No, they had DDR3, but not GDDR3. There's a difference, guys. Next answer is 6570. Nope. None of the 6000 series had GDDR3 as far as I know. Let's see here. GT610, no. I don't think, anyway. Let me just check that. I don't think so. DDR3, yes. GDDR3, no. Correct. Okay. That's a no. That's a no. Nope, that's also a no. No. Nope. GT730. I don't think so. Like I said, I think that's DDR3. Yes, yes it is. We're looking for GDDR3, the predecessor to GDDR5. I don't think anyone's got it yet. Nope. No one's got it yet. Come on, guys. Get on it. I didn't think this would be so hard. I guess you guys are all young. Younger than me, anyway. I'm an old fart. Confirming it now. I just want to make sure, because I don't want someone to come back to me later and be like, you actually lied. It's not true. No, it's true. The one answer I had in mind right off the bat was definitely true. And I just got... I'll accept the other answer too, because it looks like they came out... The two I'm thinking of came out at roughly the same time. Yeah, within... Well, no, not roughly the same time at all. They came out... oh, technically. Okay, no. I'm not counting that. That wasn't a major release. Okay, there's one shitty card that came after that had it, but I'm not considering it. I'll give you a hint. This is a hint. No, the FX 5800s. What is that even? Oh, you're talking about Quadro? No. I'm talking about mainstream. So I'll give you a hint. So the actual last card to feature GDDR3, it looks like came out in May 14th, 2011. And it was a Redwood card called the Radeon HD 5610. Again, it's a low-end card. And I don't know why it had GDDR3. It doesn't seem like there's any reason for that. They could have just gone with DDR3 at the time and probably gotten the same performance. It's not even a gaming card. But those are not the ones I was thinking of. I'm talking about the latest like gaming level mainstream release graphics cards that feature GDDR3. There is one that came out January 14th. I won't tell you the exact date. Fuck, it's too late. Anyway. You're too new, guys. This is 7750, 745. No good. GT740. Nope, that's DDR3. GDDR3. Oh, come on. Someone's got to get this. GTX 280 is close, but too old. I just saw that from Pure Essence up top. Close, but too old. You're in the right ballpark, though. You're closer than everyone else, I think. Depending on how you measure. GT220, too old. Too old. So you're not... Oh, sorry, J-Force. You're talking about... I thought he was referring to, like, FX... Like... Isn't that what the Quadros used to be called? Oh, you're talking... Oh, aha. No. That's... Wait a minute. What are you talking about? Oh, you're talking... That's like before, like, the... That's like before the GT series, right? Like, that's like 7,000, 8,000 series precursors. Talking about, like, G92. That chip, right? Or before. The Radeon 6510. Is that your guess? Is that even close to right? Is that a thing? No. No, the 5610 was the one I was referring to before. It did feature GDDR3. It was the last one to come out, but it's not a gaming card, so I'm not gonna count it. The two I'm thinking of were low-end graphics cards that were targeted to the gaming public. They occurred during the transition to GDDR5, and they were just like, well, we got these left over. They're cheap. You're gonna have them. No, I think the 7000 series is too new, my friend. I don't think there are any GDD. Oh! Look at that. Well, I don't know if that really counts. It's an OEM card. Okay, you know what? I'm going to give you a free Steam key for that. That counts. That does count. The 7570, believe it or not, I just learned this now, did feature GDDR3 in January of 2012. the OEM version only. And like it's a terascale card. It's not even GCN. So it's technically, the chip is old, but it was issued later. So yeah, okay. You're a winner. That counts. Spaker Arts has gotten a right answer, but I will continue to take answers. If someone gets one of the two cards I was thinking of, we're talking about mainstream GDDR3. Two graphics cards. Any of these two cards, you get it. They were popular, very popular cards. Not like the one he just mentioned that was OEM only and pre-built. Like, we're talking about mainstream. You can buy it in a store. They were low end, so they were like $150 or some shit. Not too old. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys one more minute. You don't get it in one more minute, I'm putting an end to this. Should I pick my nose on camera? Fermi 210? No. Yeah, no, I know what you meant. No. Yeah, I see that now looking at the 7000 series. There were a lot of weird OEM cards that were based on ancient architecture that were released, probably just for like discrete graphics, fucking, for like HTPCs and shit. Just low end cards. These were probably like $50. This is what happens when you change nodes and you've got a lot of older backstock of chips that you haven't sold yet. This is what you do. You repurpose them in ways like this. So that's where those came from. Anyway. Yeah, no, I remember what you're talking about now. You're talking about like ancient times. Talking about back when I was in university. I remember now. No, because before they turned the Quadros into like the Quadros 7000, they were used to have an FX in front of them, didn't they? Am I just dreaming that up? No, I'm right. Quadro FX 5800 is a graphics card. That's obviously came out much later. I thought that's what he was referring to when he said that. And that, I believe, the FX 5800, just for example, is Fermi, I think. Yeah, am I right? I think I'm right. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Looks like Fermi. I think it's Fermi. Or maybe Tesla even. Nope. GTX 280 is way off. It's already been guessed. Well, it's not way off. It's actually closer to the real answer than most other people have been. Yes, they did what? 9600 GT, way too old. GT 640, somebody said. I'm going to check that. I mean, it could be, but no, it's DDR3. Not GDDR3. GT 440, fucking close. Danny, you're like fucking close. Just scroll down a little bit. Oh, good lord. It was like watching a bunch of fat people in a race. It's like, I'm gonna get there. Yeah. Yeah, beefcake. No, GTX 295, you're going back. You gotta go forward a little bit. You guys are so close, you're honing in. We're just honing. I owned one. It was one of my... Let's see. Did I own one? No, I didn't. I didn't own one. It's okay. I think everyone's going to get some free stuff. We'll see. There's 16 people here. I think I can hook you all up. We'll see. No to GT 750. Come on. I've given you lots of hints. I've given you the years generally. I've said 2011 a couple of times. I also said that Danny was close, and if you know who Danny is the guy with a bigger YouTube channel than mine. Much bigger. I gotta get tips on him as to how to whore myself out, because I'm really bad at it. Oh, how did my Reddit submission do? I didn't even check. Let's look in. Did you guys upvote it? No? Did it even get submitted? I can't see what the upvotes is because I'm not signed in on this browser. Oh, somebody linked his username. Don't do that. Oh, it has 8 points. Oh, it's climbing. It's climbing. Yay. Yay. Okay, upvote this. Let's fucking upvote this. Promote me. God damn it. I'll give you all kinds of free stuff. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to pay for upvotes, for fuck's sake. Okay, none of you guys have gotten it, but Danny and Andres was the closest. It's the GTS 450 on the NVIDIA side. So the GT 440 was definitely the closest answer. So Danny and Andres will get a free Steam key. Also, the gentleman Spaker, who proved me wrong by giving me an answer I didn't even think of. So good on him for his research skills. And no one's gotten the AMD side yet. So I'm not going to give away a Steam key for that. But the AMD card was the one I didn't know. The GTS 450 was the one I knew of consciously because it was a fairly major prominent release and I knew about it. But on the AMD side, apparently the last one was the, I forgot already, was the Radeon HD where is it? I lost it. Did I just dream it up? 5670, right. Redwood, January 14, 2010. So, yeah. Okay. Contest over. Hello, Be Courteous. Link it so I can upvote it now. Okay, it's on the screen. Right here. Here. How do I type? How do I say things in chat? Do I just do here? Oh, yeah. I do. Yeah, upvote my submission. Okay, so I'm going to keep track of the usernames here, and just so you know I'm doing it, I guess I can't. I don't have free type on or anything, so I'll just keep a notepad separately. So far, Danny, I got to send him a free Steam key. Andres, is how you spell? Is it Andres Salcedo? Salcedo? I'm sorry. I'm really actually not racist, but I'm very liberal with my playfulness, so please don't take offense. I mean it in a loving way. Just think of it like that. And Spaker Arts. I don't know if that's how you even pronounce your name, but that's how I'm pronouncing it. Spaker Arts. Okay, the three of you are entitled to free Steam keys. We'll do some more trivia in a little bit. Sorry, okay, you know what, Razorback? I feel bad for you. I'll give you something too. You're a loyal viewer. I recognize you. You're down, okay? You tried. That's what matters. You tried. You gave it a shot. Oh god, I hate that somebody linked his username in that video. I hope I don't get in trouble for that. Somebody searched my history and they were like, "Oh, there's the conversation that sparked the video." Oh, I forgot. You know what I got to do too? Just give me a moment, guys. I just realized that I need to alert Mr. Germ about his video, because his video was inspired by him and his work, so I am going to give him due credit by linking him on Twitter. Actually, I'll just do it later, whatever. Okay, any more questions, guys? That's what we're here for. You're here to pick my brain, Mr. Endless Experience here. Trying to give you all the tips, none of the bullshit. See you later, Danny. Okay. Okay, you have a good point, Pure Essence. GTS 450. It's mid range. Didn't I say mid range? Like it's a mainstream release, is what I said. I think that's fair. The GTS 450 was a mainstream release. If the GTS 450 isn't mainstream, then neither is the 750 Ti. I think they both count as mainstream. But anyway, it's all in good fun. It's all in good fun. More questions. Okay, I left off at Danny's last question. So let me go back to that and I'll keep answering here. God, you guys answered a lot. And for the record, J-Force and I were confused because he was referring to the FX series, which is what NVIDIA called their graphics chips before the famous 8800 GT and GTX and GTS and all that shit. And the 7000 series and 6000 series. They had a 5000 series that they called the FX 5000 series, but they also had Quadro cards that were called Quadro FX and that had 4 numbers at the end of them. So as usual, NVIDIA's fucking naming scheme is shit and confuses everybody. Where are the questions? One more question. Okay, no. Oh. Hold on. Okay. Do I buy game bundles? Yes. Do you keep a spreadsheet of everything? Yes, I do. Do I even lift? Yes, I do. You want me to flex my biceps on camera? All right, fine. I don't know if you can see that. Hold on, let me open up OBS. There we go. It's not bad. I'm a little fat right now. I've put on a lot of bulking weight from over last winter, but we're still there. Got me some gains. I lost 100 pounds. I used to be over 300 pounds, and then I just started working out like a fuck and got to where I am now. Okay, on to the next actual question. Not that I don't mind being vain and showing you my tits. Do I even lift? That's the question we left off at. What are your thoughts on the AMD 8350 CPU for gaming? My thoughts are very simple on FX series processors. They are still fine if you can get them used for cheap. They have the same single-threaded performance as Phenom 2 processors from the previous generation. Granted, that's clock for clock. They can be overclocked a bit higher, so if you can get your Phenom 2 965 Black Edition up to 4 GHz, then you're looking at probably a 4.5 to 5 GHz overclock on an 8350, or I guess the more comparable CPU would be like a 6300, because 3 actual cores plus 3... Okay, back up, don't want to misspeak. This is going to be eternalized on YouTube. The reason why I think the FX 6300 is comparable to a 965 Black Edition is because the 965 Black Edition has 4 actual cores, and the FX 6300 has 6 logical cores, 2 of which at a time share a floating point unit. So they're not the same, but in terms of performance, where I would put them in my head, that's kind of where they would go. I don't know, that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, 4 gigahertz on Deneb and that architecture at 40 nanometers is going to be roughly equivalent in single core performance to Bulldozer and Forward, because they haven't made any gains since then. So 8100, 8300 series processors are going to have the same single threaded performance clock to clock. So 20% higher if you manage to get that overclock up to the 5 gigahertz range, which is possible on a 990FX motherboard with some good cooling. But usually 4.5 is where you top out at. So you're really not gaining all that much. They're still relevant, believe it or not, but don't pay retail for them. The retail, they're total bullshit. Pick one up used, and people are reluctant to sell them for cheap. As cheap as they should be sold anyway. So it's rare that you'll find an 8350 or even an 8320 is priced accordingly. I would much rather buy an $80 i5 2400 than buy an $80 8350, I think. Would I? I don't know. The 8350 really isn't that bad. Single threaded, it loses to Sandy Bridge, obviously, but those 4 extra cores in modern gaming, multi-thread optimization is becoming more of a thing. I don't know. That's actually not a bad point of comparison. I still think you won't find an 8350 for $80, so there's no point in even discussing it. But that's about what it should be worth, I think. I think it's definitely sub $100, but worth more than $60. So, but still relevant. It'll still work. It's the thing. Bottlenecking is not linear. It's not just like a fucking, just like a hard limit. Like, no, you cannot advance any further because of your CPU. Doesn't work that way. You'll get graphical gains if you add a good graphics card to a shitty CPU. You want proof? You want proof? I'll give you proof. I am going to make a video about that. A video in the future is going to feature me with a shitty old motherboard and a Core 2 Duo, and I'm going to put a modern graphics card in it, but that's not so good. And then I'm going to upgrade that to a better modern graphics card, and I'm going to show you that there will still be an FPS gain going from card to card, despite the fact that the CPU is old as shit. And that'll be the proof. Bottlenecking is not linear. Anyway. And by the way, the 8350 and multi-core CPUs like that from the AMD side still make good budget content creation CPUs. When it comes to encoding and things like that, I'm not an expert on video production, believe it or not. As you can see by my setup, it's pretty simple. But in terms of the way it performs in that environment, it's actually pretty goddamn good for what it is and for that kind of money. So if you can find one some $100 and you want to get into video editing and content creation, you want to be a YouTuber, $320 for this is one option. $80, $90 for an FX series processor is another. And it's really not that much worse when you consider the price. Price performance, it's obviously much better. No comparison. So that's my thoughts on the 8350. Expanding on Andres' that's the flex the biceps. Okay. Some of the old there you go. JForce reminded me. Some of the old cards were called 2D accelerators, and sometimes you needed a 2D or 3D card. So 3D, the graphics cards used to be called accelerators, 2D or 3D, depending on what they did. Thank you for reminding me. It's been a long time. Spaker says, again, I have a Gigabyte Z68P DS3 running a stock fan, which I'm looking to replace. The website says that the max weight allowed is 400 grams. The Evo 212 is like 550. Okay, so weight in terms of CPU coolers can mean a lot of things. Weight, I don't think is what it refers to. Maybe it does. So maybe I need a physical example for this. Okay, this rocket ship is your CPU cooler. Okay, bear with me. This phone of mine is your motherboard. So if you're mounted like this, it might have a rated weight because it's worried about sag. So the CPU cooler has weight, and it tugs down on the PCB and it bends it over time, and it will bend. If I had a better camera, higher resolution, and can zoom in really close to some of the really old boards that I've got, I will show you how boards warp. Because of CPU coolers. In fact, socket 775 boards, and not even the oldest ones. We're talking about 2008, 2009, when the socket was slowly phasing into retirement. The way some of the bulkier coolers were designed, the ones with the push pins, so not stock coolers, but we're talking about third-party stock style coolers, they would actually tug on the PCB. Because they were just a little bit too short for the mounting hole. So you'd push them in and it would warp, like it would concave the board. And it was very visible over time. And the board would still function because PCBs are luckily particularly resilient in terms of how much physical stress they can take. But definitely happened, was a real thing. So when a manufacturer says your CPU has too much weight, they can be referring to the drag from horizontal mounting, or from vertical mounting, excuse me, or they can be referring to pressure from the mounting mechanism of the CPU, so the amount of force that is exerted onto the socket from the cooler as a result of the tension created from the brackets, or they can even be referring to the weight of the cooler on the socket. But that's less relevant because the mounting pressure greatly exceeds the weight of the cooler. So when it says 400 grams, being that it's a weight in grams, usually if it's pressure, it's pounds per square inch, or what do they usually use for that? I haven't checked in years because I don't ever have to give a fuck because everything's within spec. Actually, that's not true. Skylake had the substrate issue. They're talking about 8mm substrate here. They were bending. So I should do some research and up my knowledge a bit on that. But in terms of older stuff, and you're asking about a Z68 board, I cannot think of a cooler that would damage a Z68 board in that regard, especially not the 212 Evo. The 212 Evo is compatible with anything, and I don't think the weight is going to be a problem. That board, that is a Gigabyte board, it's a bottom end Z68 board. It's not exactly built on the strongest substrate, but I've almost certainly put 212 pluses and 212 Evos on Z68 Gigabyte boards, as I've owned several of each, and I had no problems. So while I can't give you official word, I would certainly recommend emailing Gigabyte and asking them for clarification. You're probably fine. Some people say that limit is, oh, he's saying that it's just for the cooler backplate. Is that true? Again, I don't know. I don't know for certain, but I've mounted 212 Evos on Z68 Gigabyte boards before. It should be fine. Okay, more questions. When you resell a PC, how do you figure out the price and how much do you mark it up? Pretty simple. I'll walk you through the logic right now. This is a good opportunity to use the second screen here, which is what you all came for. Let's go back to Kijiji and let's take a look. Let's do a search in the buy and sell category. Let's look at computers. And this is Toronto, of course, so it only applies to my market, but I think it's fairly representative of what you can expect. Desktop computers, we have 4,800 to choose from. All I do is I search the specs of the computer I have just built to the best of my ability. Keep it as loose as possible so it can just find what you're looking for and see if there are any, look at this. Some asshole is selling an Acerstein console killer for 450 bucks. Oh, there's his postal code. I wonder who this is. Anyway, let's get... Whatever, I don't care. That postal code can encompasses a whole street. That doesn't constitute personal information. So go ahead. Come to my street and yell out my name and maybe I'll come out of my house. Anyway, that's my ad. So you now know what I'm trying to sell this for. So there you go. I'm sort of exposing myself there. And you know what I paid for it. So that gives you a good idea of what I mark them up typically, but the point is still valid. What I will do is I will search for the specs of the system. So let's go back a few build vlogs here and see what, if there's a system that sort of matches that. No, not really. So you loosen it up a bit. Let's search for GTX 80 based systems only. GTX 780, excuse me. So here we go. So this guy wants 1,500 for his 4770K 780 with a 720 gigabyte SSD. That's a weird size. This guy wants 1250. So when you talk about Build Vlog 7, what I decided to sell that for, I would look at a page like this and realize that these guys are fucking retarded and undercut them by a good 500 bucks. So my deals are still the best you will find on Kijiji for a complete system. I always make sure of that, but they are considerably marked up. As you can see, there's a lot of room. I'm not going to be modest about it. You can double the price of what you pay for a system if you are confident enough to resell and make a fair bit of cash off of it. If I were a less ethical person, this is what I might be able to make a living out of it, but I am not. So I am not willing to sell people used crap and upsell it and shiny up the ad to make it look newer than it is. I'm not willing to lie about where it came from or whatnot. You know, at the best, I will be vague. Like, look at my ad here. And by the way, I mean, look at this ad here. Selling an Acerstein, blah, 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 great way to save money. It's an old Aspire. See, like, I'm telling them exactly what it is. See? Like, nothing in this sentence is untrue. I'm not necessarily, like, I'm not downselling it either. I'm not saying things like, this is a piece of shit and you can only expect it to work for 3 months. Because, well, first of all, it's not true. But secondly, you know, I mean, what I'm trying to say is you're trying to market it. You can definitely don't embellish, but you can polish. You can use positive language, but just make sure it's not untrue. That's the limit I draw. So I call it an Acerstein or an Acerstein, Frankenstein, sort of like a Frankendale, because this is a catchy little word. You know, grab their attention. Modified pre-built. I tell them what it is. Give them a full spec list, and be honest about the internals. You know, front USB headers been disconnected, no USB 3. old optical disc that I left in the thing, but I disconnected. I have a buyer lined up for this already. This ad's pretty old. But generally that's the idea. So sell it by saying carries a punch internally, but be honest about it by saying looks unimpressive on the outside. I think that's fair. And I think my price tag is reasonable. I mean, just to be frank, if you're looking at this system from a third-party observer and you're and running it down in your head, 450 Canadian dollars for this, just like that, is a perfectly awesome deal. And if you were to haggle me down to 400, I might say yes. That's still a good markup. It's still 160 bucks in my pocket that goes into this channel. That's $160 of money I don't need to take from G2A to stay afloat. So, not bad. Anyway, that's how I do it. So, full disclosure. Now you guys know. Let's see here. Down the list. Oh God, comments everywhere. I look hot over. Thank you, Scott D. I'm very secure in my sexuality. So if you are a homosexual male and you want to pay me a compliment, that's cool. I don't mind. I'll take it. Take it and run with it. Let's see. I'm looking for the next question, guys. Hold on. I've got a 280X coming in for 105 euros tomorrow. Not bad, right? Not bad at all. A little high, but pretty good. It's for a 300 euros-ish build. Good. Let's see. I think that's it. Is that it for the questions? Oh no! Can you grow a beard? Yes, but like my hair is like it's full in that it covers all the parts that it needs to cover, with the exception of like right here. I have a problem. But my hair is very wispy. It's like fine and sparse. Like the hairs are not close together. So my hair, it just looks like it's like, you know, like the Beatles haircut, like a bowl cut, just like straight stringy dead hair that just like is cut around your fucking head and just sort of hangs. There's no body, no life to it at all, no shape, no fucking character. That's what my facial hair is like when I let it grow, and my head hair. This is why I've always done this, because I just have very fine, sparsely populated fucking head. So that's that. Anyway, I think we're out of questions, and it's 9 o'clock, so maybe it's time to go. I don't know. Are you guys done? Are we done? One more trivia question. We still have 15 people here. You guys actually still watching? You guys want another question? You want more free Steam, Keith? I've got 4 winners already. Oh, okay. I'm going to answer that question first. What is my opinion on the saturation of products with RBG functionality? That's my opinion on RBG functionality. You can make a fucking GIF out of that and post it to PC Master Race if you would like, because it reflects exactly how I feel. I have RGB lighting in my system. I have my graphics. My 1080 is an Asus Strix. It's the A8G model, so it's the middle model in terms of factory OC. And it comes with the RGB lighting, and I set it to my favorite color, which is purple. And if it didn't come with it, I wouldn't give 2 fucks. I don't care. I think it's a waste of money. It's silly. It embodies exactly what is wrong with the hobby, I think, to be honest. As soon as you start to prioritize style over stuff. Okay, let me give you a better example of what I mean. You know what I really hate about RGB lighting? It's the same as people who put together a PC part picker build. Okay, they're looking to build a new PC. You look at their list, and their budget, let's say, is $1,000. $1,000 rigid. And they're like, I cannot go over $1,000, right? So you look at their build, and they got an i5 6500 in there. They have a GTX 1070 that accounts for like half the money. They've got an SSD, which is perfectly fine. It doesn't improve gaming performance, but it definitely improves day-to-day performance. Love that. Love big capacity SSDs. They left out a hard drive. Didn't bother with mechanical hard drives. No optical drive. Nothing like that. The RAM is nothing fancy. Everything looks good. until you get to their case. And for some reason, these fucking retards thought that buying a fucking $150 case was appropriate for a $1,000 budget build, and you want to punch them in the dick. Like, in whose mind does that make any sense? I have a strict budget. I want the best performing PC I can possibly fucking build, but I'm gonna buy an absurdly, needlessly expensive case to go with it. That makes no sense. If you are on a budget of any kind, I mean, I guess $1,500, $2,000 and above, you can be forgiven. You should be buying an affordable case. I'm not talking about one of my Xeon X310s that I got off of Amazon for $30 at a pop. I'm not talking about that shitty. But fuck, Fantex, the Fantex Enthoo Evolve ITX, which is the one that I use, is a fantastic quality mini ITX case that retails for $90 here in Canada. So I imagine in the United States that puts it in the $65, $70 range. Great case. Cannot fault you for that. I would personally recommend cheaper. I think that the Corsair 88R is a great deal for micro ATX. I think that the 100R is a great deal for full-size ATX, and they look great. The build quality is reasonable enough. It will last you if you take care of it. But if you want to go an extra $20 or $30 to get something that's like solid steel construction, really sturdy, lots of features, by all means, go for it. But when you are starting to put $100 extra into style over substance, you are a fucking retard. And people who buy products that have RGB lighting as a premium feature that cost an additional $20 over the best example, Razer. I like a lot of Razer products. I know a lot of people don't. I do. I have my ass. I don't know if you can see it. Hold on. Let me scroll up, see if you can see it. I have my ass a fucking Razer Orb Weaver, and you can barely see it. I love the Orb Weaver. Love this thing. It's great. Mechanical keys, proprietary, albeit not cherry, or Gateron, which would be good too. But the Razer switches are okay. It's got green lights on it. It costs a lot. This piece of machinery is something like $100 and some dollars, whatever. So definitely not cheap. Something that an enthusiast would buy. Wouldn't recommend it to someone on a budget anyway. But the RGB version they released was like fucking $40 more just for lights. Anyway, that's my rant about RGB lighting. Yeah, put fucking glow sticks in there. You want to light your case up? Set it on fire. How about that, dumbass? Anyway, so we're at 9 o'clock here. Time for more trivia. Yes. Okay, we're gonna do trivia. Okay. Yeah, but lights are cool. Well, go ahead, pay for lights then. By the way, don't get me wrong. If you are an adult with a job and discretionary or disposable income, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If you are an adult with a job and you can afford it, and you don't really have a fixed budget, and you're just trying to build something that looks nice, by all means. I'm not saying aesthetics are not important at all. I'm saying that prioritize substance over style, always. And once you've hit your substance cap, where your performance and what you want your system to do has been attained, absolutely, spend another $200 making your system look pretty. I'm not knocking guys like Jay's 2 Cents who spend thousands of dollars on custom liquid cooling. That is his hobby, and he loves it. And he likes to make a big Case Labs, pretty looking custom water cooled system because it's something he enjoys, and he has the money. All of these things are acceptable. But when you are asking Build a PC on Reddit for advice, and your case is grossly overpriced, or you're buying RGB lighting products because they're pretty, when you could be taking that money and buying a 1070 instead of a 1060, I have a problem. Anyway, okay, trivia question. Trivia. Maybe I'll just make it general trivia, not PC trivia at all. Like throw everybody off. Let me adjust my camera here a little bit. I think I'm getting thrown off a little. Okay. All right, trivia question. Think here. What do I have that could trigger me? I need triggers. Nope, that's not a trigger. 2 sleeping dogs. That's not a trigger. Oh god. Oh god. I don't even know. I'm like drawing a total blank. Maybe like game trivia? Like maybe I should make it like a fastest finger question. Like come up with something that everybody can find the answer to, but the first person to find it wins. No, that's not fair. That's not fair. I don't want to make it too old because obviously it's a younger crowd. If you guys didn't know about the GTS 450, I gotta make it something that's newer. Okay. All right, we'll make it something. No, sorry, I'm really bad at this. Someone give me a prompt, please help. Send help. Okay, let me just do some quick research here. Not in this window, obviously. Why am I doing that? In the meantime, look at the Major League Baseball scores. Oh, Toronto's losing. Fuck off. And Baltimore's winning. Fuck off again. Okay, anyway. Let's get off of that before I get sued. Okay, I'm going to look for a question, and you're going to answer it for free Steam keys, okay? And that question is going to involve, let's come up with a topic at least. Okay, we're going to go with, it's going to be CPU history. Okay, CPU history is going to be the topic. And the question is going to be, I got it. I just got to find the answer first, and then we are going to do it. All right, here we go. This is a fastest finger. It's something everybody can find, but the first person that gets it is going to win. What was the code name for the i7-800 series? What was the code name for the i7-800 series? So the i7-860, 870, 880. I think that's where it stopped. What's the code name? What was it called? First person gets it. Gets a Steam key. I'm going to go on my list of winners. Nope. ARC is not correct. Come on, get your Googles on. Codename for i7-800 series processors. 860, the i7-870, i7-880. Clocked at 2.66, 2.8, and 3 gigahertz respectively, I think, out of the box. Is that right? 2.8, no, the 860 is 2.8. 3 gigahertz for the 870, 3.2 for the 880, maybe. And Mr. Sev gets the right answer. It's codename Linfield. Great job, Mr. Sev. Okay. All right, I hope that's your actual Google name, because if I'm typing these down as I see them, so I'm seeing dash S, capital S, E, V, dash. No, Linfield is correct. Somebody can prove me wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Linfield. Linfield was also the code name for the i5-700 series as well. These actually came before the i5-600 series, which were codenamed, though I think those were Yorkfield. But I don't know. Nahalem, or however the fuck you pronounce that, is the i7-900 series, I think. Clarksfield might also be right. They shared names. Now that you mentioned that, let me check it up. Let me look it up. The Intel Core series, Core i7's first generation. Well, Nahalem is not the code name. It seems it's as though that's the architecture code name, but not for the series of processors themselves. So Linfield was definitely what I was after. Yeah, code name Linfield for the Core i7-800 series. So sorry, I can't give that one to you, but you're in the right ballpark though. You know what? Maybe I will give you a Steam key. You're not the winner. You're not the winner, but to Mad Bull 876, I'm gonna give you something anyway because that wasn't the code name of the processor series, but it was the code name of the microarchitecture. So you're gonna get some points for that. Clarksfield was definitely wrong. That was the i7-800QM series, as I'm now learning. Clarkdale was the i5-600 series, if you were thinking of that. Close, but no cigar. So the winner is Linfield. Anyway, I think I'm going to call that a night, guys. So that's 2 hours and 10 minutes of streaming. I had my largest audience ever. I think we peaked at 19 people, I think, or 18. I don't remember. That's pretty good. Anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate your viewership, and I sincerely hope I was of some degree of help. If your username is on my winner list, I'll repeat it now just for the record. Nerd on a Budget won something. Andres Salcedo, Spaker Arts, Razorback, Sev, and I put Nahalem down instead of Mad Bull. Mad Bull 876. Okay. Mad Bull, capital B. Just want to make sure I got the right guy. Okay. So for the 6 of you, if you could contact me via Twitter, if that's possible, to get your Steam key, that would be preferable, or send me a private message on YouTube to remind me, and I will send you something. And I'll let you choose from a couple of games too, just to make sure you get something you actually could use. I'll make sure to save this to the desktop so I don't lose it. I'll call it winners.txt when I call them winners, but I think everybody's a winner today. Everybody's a winner. You're a winner, I'm a winner, we're all winners. And that's it. See you later, guys.